Hello, Internet. I thought we would have a whole video on scrying, and we could probably have it, honestly, a lot longer than we're going to do this video on, but for now, I've written down on my notes 5 layers of scrying, and so just in a basic way, I'll say it this way. There might, when you play aelaria, be quite a lack of information in a lot of contexts, a lot of situations. That is by design. A thing that I want to comment to myself is that as an AM, you should still, there's this metaphor of you should make sure to tell the player, like there's a controller, right? When you're playing the game, it's just a metaphor, whatever. This isn't a video game, it's a tabletop kind of game, an imagination game. Nevertheless, the metaphor is useful that you should make sure to tell the players what buttons are on the controller and tell them what those buttons do. So I have made mistakes not doing that, and I've been trying to get better at it. Now then, with scrying, these are the things, and actually, only one of them, am I right, Vince, is available in the first like second of gameplay? Let's go through them. So layers of scrying. Vince did this very well in a recent session, so I'll try to shut up for a lot of this video and let him talk. Specialization is the first one. Go, Vince.
So there are different ways to get information in aelaria just default in your character sheet without doing anything. The first one is having light. Light will pipe up in general when there are issues that don't require scrying. But there's also your wisdom allows for you to have dings, which will warn you when you are about to die. And then on top of that, you can also be a specialization scryer. So if you didn't pick utility or body or any or mind or any other spec and you chose scry, you'll get additional information passively, just like that, kind of like dings. Beyond the passive ways, you can actively scry using third eye or the scry spell. But as you increase your specialization of scrying, you can power scry, or you can deep scry, or you can coma scry. So those will increase the amount of information that you're getting, but they're also going to combat deception.
All right, so I do
But
want
they,
to.
yeah, go
I
ahead.
don't want to interrupt you. Okay, so I want to mention because of how you said that it is possible, even if you're not specialized in scrying, to learn those spells. One was mentioned was power scrying, but the important point, I suppose, being a scry spec does not need to learn those spells. A scry specialized mage already has access to these higher levels of scrying. And then I
Yes.
suppose we might as well go into the, we'll probably go into more detail later, but that power scrying, which would be what tier 2 scrying, requires you to sacrifice some focus. We'll talk about focus in another video besides your spell casting ability. And then higher level deep scrying allows you more, but requires more focus and refined. I think I'm saying that right. Power scrying to deep, yeah, deep scrying requires refined blue mana, which is an advanced concept. You're really stretching if you're learning this and you're like still mag 0 or 1. And then finally, coma scrying, the most important thing about it is making yourself vulnerable. So just know that there are different tiers of scrying, and in general, you'll get more information the higher level scrying you go. But you don't even know the spell if you're not scry spec and you haven't learned the spell. The tier 1 scrying is just called scry, nothing extra, and it's a beginner action. And I think we mentioned that third eye is a beginner action, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so what have we not mentioned? Specialization, we went into that. You've actually already mentioned light sometimes just randomly pipes up giving you a little bit of information. So light mana is a thing in the game, and only if you have it in your system does it do this. Okay, so I have mentioned the other higher than tier 1 scrying. And then actually you mentioned something I forgot, wisdom. So the thing about wisdom is you get dings. He already mentioned it, but I'll just articulate it a different way, as if you're about to like instantly die or whatever. There are things called dings. It doesn't give you much information, but it's just a small extra layer that can be very useful if you're about to die instantly. You get a ding, and you should deal with that. I don't think that actually was in the session that I'm thinking about that prompted this video, but nevertheless, the point being there's layers of possible information gathering in aelaria. I think, okay, so there's light just talking versus light scrying, which is you spending light mana to scry, which kind of would be specifically to figure out what darkness is doing, dark mana. Those two things are distinguished from each other. You're not like spending light mana just for it to say anything, but then to do a light scry, you are spending light mana, not blue mana. When we were talking about the different tiers of scrying, that's blue mana scrying.
Right.
It's as a blue mana mage, what you're spending by default is blue mana. Okay, so is the only thing we haven't talked about yet Netsese?
Yes.
Cool. So Netseses are helpers. It's like story-wise like a floating glass sphere, almost always floating in the ethereal realm, following you as a mage. To be your helper, to help with scrying and maybe other things. So the Necesse is powered by energy, capital letters Energy. If nothing else, energy can be found in the ethereal realm. So kind of like fishing. At a certain advanced level, you would want to every now and then go and try to acquire some energy. All right. Anything that I missed, Vince?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, just to conclude and summarize, there's specialization. If you chose scrying, then that's really great for information gathering. Natsise is a helper, a like little glass sphere that floats in the ethereal, following you that helps yet another layer of information gathering. There's light, even without spending light mana, but if it's in you, talks to you, trying to warn you of danger, but also other things possibly. If you spend light mana to scry, that's different than any blue mana scrying, which is another layer of information gathering. There's third eye, which is 0 mana scrying, and so just all of the tiers of scrying. Kind of the most useful that's pointed to most often for gathering information is what's called tier 1 scrying. It's just the simple scry spell SCRY. It's a magical Q&A with your aelaria master, the person running the game. Very useful for gaining information. Generally speaking, the more mana you put into a spell, the more effect you get out of it. If you get vague shapes, a lot of the times it means that you haven't spent enough mana, although it might be that you need to do one of these other layers or you need to have a higher tier scrying. Speaking of which, I think we'll put Deception Magic in another video, right, Vince?
Probably. Yeah.
Okay, and then finally, the last layer that I actually forgot about was Wisdom allows you to get dings, and dings a lot of times I call it like a spidey sense. If you're about to, say, die instantly, you get a ding. It's not much more of a layer of information gathering, but it is information, and that you should deal with whatever it is, being that death bad. Trying to think of anything else to mention, but it's coming upon a 10-minute video, so last chance, Vince.
No, that's it.
So, in conclusion, there are a lot of layers to help you gather information in Aelaria, and you will probably quickly notice that there's a lack of information depending on how much of these layers you're using, or let alone if you're using none, if you're not gathering information. You do have to do that in aelaria. Thanks for listening, Internet. Jesus loves you.